Hello, my name is Bamgbelu, the junior at Seven Lakes High School. And this 6 weeks, we have been tasked with researching in our prospective fields. And in doing so, I've been able to earn or gain an overall understanding of my field of interest, and I've been able to collect data that I plan on implementing into my project. Today, I will discuss my research. My field of interest is medical robotics. Um, Traditionally, this field is a cross section between computer science and electrical engineering, in which engineers seek to create products that aid surgeons in surgical procedure. Some of the biggest companies in this are Intuitive Surgical, and Microsoft. Intuitive Surgical here made the Da Vinci surgical system. The Da Vinci surgical system is a medical robotics robot that helps surgeons create precise or ultra precise incisions into human body. The significance of this is that it leads to or it results in a reduced likelihood of of a patient getting an infection in a cut, and it leads to an optimal surgical procedure. Microsoft developed the HoloLens augmented reality headset. And while this is not directly linked to medical robotics, their software developer kit has enabled developers to create medical robotics applications that help students visualize the human anatomy, which can be very beneficial to students preparing to be surgeons. While this is all great, my mentor, Dr. Sekos, advised me to take a more software approach to this because he said that this field tends to be quite hardware and capital intensive. Because I do not have a lot of money as a student, I can't afford to spend thousands of dollars creating some sort of robot product. Therefore, in my communication with him, he said that at his lab they are taking a more theoretical approach to medical robotics. He and some of his research assistants at the University of Houston are working on two technologies: augmented reality and data analytics in medical robotics. This is where my research came in. I was very interested in data analytics, and I decided to research into this myself. What I found out was that it's a very diverse field in terms of there's a lot of stuff that you can analyze, and in the medical subset of this field, it's very hard to extract data. Not a lot of medical data is public. So the first dilemma I ran into was, how are public medical data actually stored? What I found out was that after going to numerous websites such as data.gov, which is a whole government database of a bunch of different data bases, what I found out was that most medical data is stored in JSON and XML files. While I'm experienced in looking at these file types, I'm not actually experienced in manipulating the data that's held in them. Because of this, I decided to create my two of my own personal projects using such JSON and XML files. They were a SAT search project where I tried to find the highest SAT score in a bunch of JSON files, and the XML file project where I decided to find out the closest proximity between a whole data set of cities and their latitude and longitude. So that was that resolved. After this, I decided to find out the topic that I'll focus my project on. This is where the interview came in handy, and I will decide to talk about this later in the slide after this. After this, my last dilemma that I ran into in my research was deciding how I would present my project so that others would be able to see it. I wanted to create a website, but I didn't want to spend money using such online web editors such as WordPress, and I didn't want to learn a new programming language in HTML and CSS in order to create a website because I thought this would take too long. What I found out was, after my own research, that I was able to use a Python library called Streamlit to create my own websites in data science based websites in Python. This is a very well documented library used by many data scientists in the actual industry. So that's an advantage of this. And the syntax that Streamlit uses is actually very familiar to the ones found in most other Python libraries that I have experience with, like Matplotlib and Get Pygame. This is an example of a Streamlit website here, and as you can see, there's a lot of data in a very easy to see manner, which is why I chose it. Now we come to my interview. Being able to interview someone is well decorated and well versed in this field as Dr. Sakos is something I believe to be essential to essential to the success of my project. Furthermore, being able to interview experts in this field, I think, is beneficial to all of us students because we're able to gain insights and advice in different places that we wouldn't really know to look for. From my interview with Dr. Sakos, we talked about many things, but the main overall topic that I talked about with him was industry trends in medical robotics. The basic answer that I got from this was that medical robotics is an increasingly popular field, and many companies such as Intuitive Surgical are spearheading the movement in this field. The most interesting response I got from Dr. Sekos to one of my questions was a question regarding social media. I thought this question, social media and mental health, I thought this question was very interesting because social media is obviously made by computer scientists. Well, social media platforms are made by computer scientists, and mental health is obviously directly related to medical, right? So, what I found out from his response to this question was that he gave me a bunch of examples of his own experiences with social media, and he gave me a bunch of reasons why he refuses or tends to stray away from using it. He gave me examples of people he knew who had been negatively affected by the mass influx of negative comments that one can see on such platforms, and he told me about how it's designed to be addictive and distractive, and someone like him, who's obviously dealing with a lot of money in his research, cannot afford to be swayed away by such distractions. This is something I thought was very interesting, and I wish to implement into my own project. Thank you for listening. Going forward, I plan to continue my research in this field. More specifically, I wish to accumulate more databases or more data sets so that my data is not as skewed just using one or two data sets. What I wish to do as well is I want to maintain a constant stream of communication with my mentor, Dr. Sekos, so that I can continue getting advice that can help me in my direction of this project, specifically in towards some of the questions that he gave me in his, no, some of the answers that he gave me in the interview. And I believe that with his help, I'll be able to create a project that is not only meaningful, but is presentable as well. Thank you for listening.